Democratic Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz accused a Trump immigration official of being a white supremacist and enacting policies that only benefited Caucasian, English-speaking immigrants.
My constituents, Americans across the country, aren't fooled by this administration's specious attempts to distinguish between documented and undocumented immigration. You and Mr. Trump don't want anyone who looks or talks differently than Caucasian Americans to be allowed into this country.
That's false.
I'm sorry. Please don't interrupt me, and I'd like the time added
That's
back.
defamatory.
Excuse me. There's nothing defamatory about it. And
The gentlelady
time.
controls the time, and the witness will get a chance to respond.
Thank you very much. You want to block all immigration and make life harder for immigrants, and you have demonstrated that you will pursue this heinous white supremacist ideology at all costs, even if it means making critically ill children your collateral damage in the process. And this goes to a comprehensive pattern of harm at USCIS under your leadership. In August, you announced the administration's new public charge rule, for example, which would deny legal status to immigrants who use social services. Mr. Cuccinelli, has USCIS done any analysis of how many children may stop receiving critical services due to fear of losing legal status under this rule? And I'd like you to answer that question, please.
After declaring that I am not a white supremacist, as you alluded,
You have had white supremacist
nor is the
policies.
president.
Okay.
Facts
matter.
Yes, they do. Yes,
Right.
they do. Truth
Which is why
matters.
I'm stating them here today.
Yes, no,
Please
you
answer the
certainly
question.
are not.
Please answer the question. How many
you're certainly
children-
cloaked in legislative
How many
privilege,
children
but that
may stop
means you can
receiving-
get away with
reclaiming
not
my
telling
time.
the truth.
CNN Justice correspondent Jessica Schneider is here with me, and wowza, that was quite a back and forth. Can we just 30,000 feet? What led to that? What was this hearing about?
Well, this was actually supposed to be a hearing about USCIS ending a policy that would have allowed immigrants who had serious medical conditions to remain here in the country. They rolled it back and then they reinstated it. So that's what the hearing was about. But as you can see, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, she changed the subject and she really came out swinging. That was a question about the public charge rule. This was something that was announced in August, and it would make it easier for the agency to reject visa and green card applications for any immigrants who accepted public assistance, things like food stamps, housing vouchers, also Medicaid. So that's what she was asking about, calling some of the policies, white supremacist policies. But Brooke, it's possible as well that Wasserman Schultz might have come out swinging against Cuccinelli because we've learned that he's at the top of a list to potentially, if possible, be the successor for the current acting DHS Secretary, Kevin McAleenan. McAleenan is scheduled to leave that post tomorrow. He said that it's possible that that departure date could get delayed, but the White House, of course, would potentially like Cuccinelli in that post. He's a hardline immigration activist, policymaker, just like the Trump administration. But we've learned that the White House has been advised that Cuccinelli actually wouldn't be eligible for this acting DHS secretary post because it doesn't fall in line with the Federal Vacancies Act. But we've also found out that the White House has found a loophole that would allow him to be named something else first and then slide into this role. So that potentially is why Democrats, particularly the Congresswoman there, might be taking particular aim at Cuccinelli. But of course, Cuccinelli is this hardline immigration policy person that falls in line with the president, of course. I mean, we've seen the administration, make it harder for asylum claims. And in fact, just yesterday, we saw something that really falls in line with the Trump administration wanting to limit the refugees who come here to this country. We've learned that we're on track this October, this month, not to admit any refugees, and the State Department hasn't admitted any in the month of October. And of course, President Trump has wanted to limit the refugees here to about 18,000 in the fiscal year. So I mean, really, Ken Cuccinelli falls in line with everything the administration wants to do. That's why they're potentially pushing him. And of course, here we saw the Democrat, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, really pushing back.
Sure. Perhaps that is why the target on his back, maybe in her perspective, is much larger. We'll see how this plays out for him. Jessica, thank you very much.